The road to the amusement park is silent, except for grit under my boots and the dull sway of a rusted street banner. The letters on it are sun-faded and half-torn. I do not say the name of the place out loud. Names pull memories in, and memories pull attention away from what matters. I keep my pack tight, the shoulder strap wrapped once around my hand so it will not slip if I need both arms free. The main gate is a steel arch with chipped paint. A chain dangles from one side. The lock is missing. I listen for movement past the fence. Count to 20, listen again, then push through. The park smells of damp wood and old sugar. Wind rubs through a line of flags on short poles above the ticket booths. The flags whisper more than flap. The booths are empty, glass cracked, drawers pulled out and sitting on their sides. I step over a child's shoe turned upside down and a sun-hardened pretzel with a perfect bite in it. Paper maps are scattered on the ground. I pick one up, fold it twice, and slide it into my jacket. The map shows the Ferris wheel at the far end, a wooden roller coaster along the perimeter, a carousel near the center, and a maintenance building to the back right behind a gate. If I stay, that building is my best spot. Walls, tools, maybe a sink. I move slow along the main street of food stands. Plastic lemons hang from a frozen lemonade sign. A cash drawer sits open with coins glued in place by sticky residue and dust. A soft drink cup rolls lazily across the paving stones and bumps against my boot. I stop it with the edge of my foot, then pin it so it will not rattle away again. Every small sound feels larger in empty places like this. I scan left and right. A stuffed toy bulldog leans out of a prize booth window with one glass eye missing. I keep going. A pair of infected drift in the distance at the base of the Ferris wheel. One leans into the other's shoulder and peels off again. Both are slow. One drags a foot so a dark stripe trails behind across the dust. No others in sight, but the wheel blocks a wide arc of view, and the coaster's support lattice throws tight shadows that hide corners. I note them and avoid making a plan around any open plaza. Movement on open plaza draws more movement. The carousel is still under a tarp, a faded canvas drooping between brass poles. I lift an edge and peek in. The horses stand in locked positions with their mouths open. Dust hangs under the tarp in a steady sheet. I lower it gently and knot the corner so it will not slap. A pair of control cabinets stand beside it. Both are locked. I try a flat screwdriver from my pocket on one hinge. It squeaks and resists. Too loud. I leave it. There will be other cabinets. Past the carousel, the path splits. I choose the side that leads toward the maintenance gate. The chain link panel is on rollers, but someone forced it open once and left it crooked. I squeeze through the narrow gap and pull the panel back behind me as much as I can. It scrapes. I hold the mesh with my palm to keep it from rattling. Inside, the service yard has a low cinder block building with a roll-up door. The door is closed, but a side office door stands ajar. I press my ear against it first, then my shoulder, and push it in with a slow, steady pressure until the hinges settle. The office is a square room with a bulletin board of schedules and a coffee maker fused to its hot plate by old spill. The refrigerator door is propped open with a broom handle. Inside, it is clean and empty, except for a sealed bottle of water on the top shelf. I check the cap seal with my fingernail and find the ridges unbroken. I take it, but do not drink yet. Thirst gets louder once it wakes. A row of gray lockers lines one wall. I test each door. 2 open. One holds a rain jacket and a plastic whistle on a string. The other, a folding utility knife and a box of bandages. I take the knife and the bandages and leave the whistle. I will use the jacket if I move after dark. Through the inner door, The maintenance bay stretches in a long rectangle with pegboards, coils of hose, and a narrow sink. A stack of gas cans sits empty near the roll-up door. A push broom is leaned in a corner. On the workbench, I find a small radio with the battery compartment taped shut. I peel the tape back and see 2 corroded batteries and a third that looks new. I pocket the fresh one and slide the radio back into place. In a drawer, I find a handful of zip ties, a padlock with a key still in it, and a roll of duct tape with dust stuck to the edges. I keep the padlock and the zip ties. The tape is too wide and gummy. Before anything else, I choose a place to sleep if I have to. The loft above the office has a ladder and a plywood floor. From the ladder, I can see the bay and the office door. If something enters, I will hear it on the concrete. The loft has an old tarp and a crate of light bulbs. I move the light bulbs to the corner and spread the tarp flat. No bedding, but it is clean enough to keep splinters off. I set my pack down and listen. The park shifts and makes its small noises, but the space here holds still. I go back out the way I came, lock the service gate with my new padlock, and loop a length of garden wire through the mesh to make a second catch. It will not stop anything determined, but it will give me time. I mark 3 exits in my head, back through the gate, over the low wall near the printer kiosk, and across the train track that circles the kiddie rides. If I am forced to move fast, my feet will know the route without questions. I check the kiosks for sealed bottles, dry snacks, anything that did not rot. The candy shop still holds a plastic tub of wrapped mints under the counter. Each mint is sealed. I pocket a handful and hide the tub behind a trash bin so it is not obvious. The popcorn stand is a wreck, but in a drawer I find a box of unopened salt packets and a roll of food gloves. I take the salt. It is a small thing, but it makes water safer and food brighter. Near the Ferris wheel, I stop behind a cotton candy cart and take a long look. The 2 infected are closer now. One has a staff shirt, the bright color faded to a soft tone. He sways and turns his head as if scanning, but his eyes do not hold on anything for long. The second infected stands with one hand gripping the wheel fence. The hand has gone slack, but it stays hooked under the rail. When the second finally stumbles free, the rail scrapes and makes a light ring. Both change direction a little at the sound, then forget the sound, as a banner flaps at the base of the wheel. I record the pattern and try not to add to it. I want height for a look over the park. The Ferris wheel ladder is exposed and crosses open ground. The coaster station is closer and half enclosed. I choose the station. The queue rails are empty except for a stroller on its side and a bucket hat with a cracked chin strap. The control podium has a row of buttons with worn labels and a broken plastic cover. On the floor behind it, a battery-powered megaphone sits under a clear bag. I peek inside. The batteries are separate in their own sleeve. I take the sleeve and leave the megaphone. I will not use a megaphone in a place like this unless I want a flood, and I do not want that. From the station platform, I can see over the plaza. The carousel tarp is a dim hill. The Ferris wheel frames the sky. The food court roofs form a little canyon. Beyond the maintenance yard, a water tower rises behind a low fence. A narrow gate leads to it along the train path. Water towers matter. If the tower feeds a gravity line, it may still have pressure. If it is dry, at least the ladder offers a watch point. I track a route to it that uses cover, the photo booth, the mascot statue, the stage stairs, the train tunnel. I move to the photo booth first. The curtain is shredded. On the little bench, 2 photo strips are stuck under a magnet shaped like a balloon. The faces are sun-bleached to pale shapes. I slip the magnet into my pocket for later use and move on. The mascot statue is on a small podium. The mascot is a smiling animal with wide eyes and a chef's hat. I test the podium with my knee and step behind it. Good cover for a moment. The stage stairs creak when I climb them, so I do not climb. The train tunnel is a painted half circle with a narrow walkway beside the track. I step into the tunnel and wait so my eyes adjust to the shadow. Inside the tunnel, the air smells of dust and oil. The walkway is gritty but clear. I slide along with one hand on the wall to guide me. I do not use my flashlight in here. A little glow from the far end is enough. When I exit the tunnel, the water tower stands right ahead behind a locked chain-link fence. The lock is old. I cut it with the utility knife by peeling off the plastic until the metal shows. Then I stop. I am wasting time. The knife will not cut steel. I look for a second entrance and find a gap under the back fence where the soil washed away. I push my pack through first, then slide under on my stomach with my jacket zipper scraping the gravel. Up close, the tower legs have service brackets and a ladder bolted to one side. A control box sits at knee height with a turn handle. I check the line for pressure by cracking the handle half a turn. The pipe moans and spits brown, then clears to a thin, steady stream. I fill my canteen and flush it, then fill again and add a little salt. I watch the horizon while the water runs. A gull sits on the coaster track. Somewhere deeper in the park, a loudspeaker pops with a faint electric sound, then quiets. I close the handle and wipe the spout with a sleeve. I climb the ladder 2 rungs, 3, then stop. Metal clangs underfoot, and a soft moan answers it from the direction of the wheel. I climb down and step back through the fence gap the same way I came. As I set my pack on my shoulders, I hear another electric pop, then a few halting notes of a jingle. The notes cut off mid-bar, the kind of thing that repeats. I need to find the source before a loop triggers and calls the whole county. The sound came from near the central plaza. I pass a row of game stalls with rubber ducks in bins and small hoops stacked in neat lines. The ducks stare with painted eyes. The jingle starts again, this time longer, then dies. I follow it past the carousel toward a small stage with a curtain and a sign for a character show. The sign is powered off, but a small red light glows at the base of a speaker like an ember. Behind the curtain, I find a rack of equipment labeled with tape. One box hums faintly, a battery backup. A motion sensor blinks on a wire at the stage edge, still alive. A swallow flits through the rafters and the sensor trips. The jingle chirps and stops when the battery sags. I reach behind the rack and yank the battery cable. The red light dies. I stand still and wait to hear if anything noticed. The wind tugs at the curtain. Far off, a short chain drags once and then is quiet. No rush of footsteps, no sudden gathering. Good. I tuck the motion sensor wire under a bracket so it will not swing and leave the stage. Back at the maintenance yard, I unknot the garden wire and squeeze through the gate. I climb to the loft and take a long drink. Not a greedy one, just enough. I count what I have. 1 canteen, 1 sealed bottle, a handful of mints, salt packets, bandages, knife, batteries, zip ties, padlock key, rain jacket, map, magnet. The list is short, but intact. I set the padlock key on a string and loop it over my neck. I never love keys in pockets. Keys belong against skin. I make a plan for the night. I will not light a fire. I will not use a stove. I will set a line around the loft ladder with 3 cans and a length of wire pulled taut across the middle rung. If anyone climbs, the cans will roll and clatter. I tape a small flashlight under the rail so my thumb can click it on without waving it around. I will sleep in my boots and gloves with my jacket zipped to the neck. I will keep the pack on one shoulder so I can stand with it. This is an old routine and still useful. Late afternoon color drains from the park. A chill moves in through the open roll-up door seam. I lower the door to within a foot of the ground so I can see feet if feet show up. Metal rattles when it settles on the track. I pad the track with a folded rag under each corner until the rattle calms. In the office, I find a box of earplugs and think about it. I leave them. Ears matter. Quiet brings its own noise, but that noise does not hide the outside world. A shuffle passes outside the gate, close enough that wire hums against mesh. The shape moves on. The hum fades. I let my jaw unclench. I open 2 mints and let them soften on my tongue. Sugar helps a mind stay clear. I write a short line in a notebook. Entered park at noon. Maintenance yard is base. Water tower has some pressure. 2 infected near wheel. Stage equipment shut down. Plan, leave at dawn. I close the notebook and set it under my boot for weight. Dusk becomes night. The park's shapes press inward and flatten into darker and lighter patches. I sit on the loft with my back to the wall and let my eyes learn the new edges. Somewhere near the coaster, a bird complains once, then again, then stops. The air smells colder and carries a faint, sweet rot from the food stands. A train whistle blows from a highway miles away and hangs around too long. I keep count of my breaths without changing them. It keeps the mind from running off into useless corners. A thump wakes my hands. Not loud, but wrong. It came from the roof above the office, not the yard. I freeze and listen for the same sound again. Nothing. I wait a full minute, then another. I unhook the flashlight, cover the lens with my palm, click it on, and let a hairline of light fall through my fingers down the ladder. Nothing moves below. I slide the light off and hold still again. A second thump, closer and lighter, taps from the bay side near the roll-up door. I think about raccoons or a stray cat. I think about how the infected do not usually climb unless pushed by sound. I think about wind pushing loose metal. I crawl forward to the loft edge and lower my head until my eyes clear the plank. The bay is still, the broom where I left it, the can stack unchanged, the bench tools lined up by weight. My fingers rest on the plank and leave faint marks in the dust. The lightest scrape whispers from the office below me. Just once. I close my eyes and map the room. Door to the yard is locked. Door to the bay is open. Window is small and high. If someone is inside, he came when I was outside. Or she has been here all along. I slide my knife free, breathe quietly through my nose and ease down 2 rungs until my head is halfway to the office door. I say one word in a low voice. Not a challenge, just a greeting. Hello? A reply comes back quick and clipped. Do not shout. A woman's voice. Close. A rustle follows from under the office desk. A hand appears first, palm out. Then a face. She crawls out slow, eyes bright and cold. Her hair is tied back with a ribbon cut from a map. A short pipe rests in her other hand, with a taped handle. She stops under the edge of the loft and looks up. I heard you outside, she says. I did not know if you were one of them, so I waited. I nod once and keep my knife neutral. I am leaving at dawn, I say. I came for water and a night off the road. She stands with careful knees, not fast, not slow. I worked here once, she says. Ride tech. I came back for tools. I slept in the carousel the first night. The tarp moved too much. I did not sleep the second night. I crawled in here this afternoon when the gate rattled. She points to the pipe. I use this only when I have to. I gesture at the ladder. There is room on the loft if you want higher ground. She looks at the ladder, then at the roll-up door seam. No, she says. I prefer the floor. I like the door where I can touch it. She glances at my can line and smiles without showing teeth. Good cans. Use them if you move, I say. They make enough noise to matter. She nods and lowers herself against the wall near the office door with the pipe across her lap. We say nothing else for a long time. The park settles deeper into quiet. The small sounds of two people in one room begin to match without trying. Her breathing is shallow and steady. Mine matches it without my permission. This is fine. Matching spends less energy. Past midnight, a distant clatter rolls down the main street. The sound is steady, wheel after wheel, like a shopping cart but heavier. I see the image in my head before I see the shape at the gate. A vendor cart with one good wheel and one steel rim, pushed by a man whose hands drag behind him. The cart hits the gate and sticks. The man hits the gate and presses his face to the mesh. He does not call out. He does not reach through. He simply rubs the mesh with his cheek until the skin snags. The cart creaks. The woman under the desk lifts her pipe an inch. "We should not hit the door," she says. "Let him tire himself on the fence." "He will," I say. We wait. The rubbing slows. The cart quiets. The man turns away and drifts toward the Ferris wheel without purpose. The sound fades into the same steady silence as before. "Name?" she asks, still watching the door. I give it. She gives hers. "Mara." She speaks it clean, without weight. "I lived 3 blocks from here," she says. "I am not sure why I came back. Habit is a strong cable." I do not answer. My answer would invite more words, and more words make edges soft. Instead, I open my notebook and slide it toward her with the line about Dawn. She nods. "Dawn," she says. She leans her head back against the wall and closes her eyes without relaxing her grip on the pipe. I move backward up the ladder and set the can line again. Near morning, a new sound begins. It is thin and electronic and carries a melody. A motion sensor has found a friend again. The jingle starts and stops in short gasps like a child trying to whistle for the first time. Mara is already moving. "Arcade," she says quietly. The backup ties run through the arcade's breaker. Someone left a battery there too. "Show me," I say. I flip the cans aside and drop to the floor. I shoulder my pack. She slips the pipe through a loop on her belt and picks up a small canvas bag. We lift the roll-up door just enough to slither under and set it back down with the rags still padding the track. The sky is pre-dawn gray. Shapes hold still. Sounds travel far. We cut left past the train tunnel and cross behind the stage. The arcade is a glass rectangle with machines backed in tight rows. The front door is chained, but the side service door hangs on one hinge. Inside, light from the rising sky slopes in across glass and metal. The jingle is louder here, and the red eyes of 2 crane machines blink on and off, on and off. Mara points under the counter where a duct-taped battery pack feeds a power strip. "Lift," she says. We anchor the counter's edge on our hips and lift just enough to free the tape. She peels the battery lead and pulls the cord. The blinking dies. The jingle coughs once and goes flat. We set the counter down in one motion so it will not slam. Dust puffs up and drifts down. I look through the glass at the plaza. 2 infected stand near the carousel now. The staff shirt man is one of them. He turns slowly until he faces the arcade and holds at that angle as if a thought tries to form and fails. The second infected lifts his nose. The sense is not smell or hearing, not exactly sight either. It is the strange attention of something that once used all 3. Mara tugs my sleeve and points to a back door. We slip through and step into the service corridor behind the food stands. Metal shelves line the corridor with bins of paper napkins, plastic forks, and a row of sealed water syrup boxes. I cut one open with the utility knife and taste a drop. Sweet and clean. I seal it with duct tape and mark it with an X so I know the puncture is mine. I can come back if I need a quick sugar hit. The corridor leads to a door labeled electrical. Inside, the breakers are all down except one small subfeed labeled Show Stage AUX. I flip it off. The motion sensors will still be live if they have their own cells, but the speakers will not answer. We hold still and listen for any change. A faint scrape answers from the corridor. Mara raises the pipe. I hold up a hand and step to the door edge. A young man in a park polo appears, not infected, eyes wide, arms in close. He stops when he sees us and lifts both hands, palms out. He is breathing too fast. He says nothing. He looks at the pipe, at my knife, at our faces, and then down the hall behind him. Mara lowers the pipe a fraction. "Quiet," she says. He nods with tight movement. His mouth opens and closes with no sound. I point to the floor by the wall, and he steps there and presses his back to it. He holds out a key ring in one shaking hand. The ring has a laminated card that reads, "Concessions." I take the keys, weigh the ring once, and hand it to Mara. She pockets it. "Are you alone?" I ask. He nods too fast. I glance at Mara. She looks back with flat eyes open to doubt. I look at the man again. "Tell me where you slept," I say. "First aid room," he whispers. "Cold packs. Cot." His lips are cracked. He swallows hard without enough saliva, and the swallow clicks. "I heard music. I thought someone came back to fix things." "We turned it off," Mara says. "We will leave at dawn." She studies him for a count of 3. "You can come if you listen and match our pace." He nods once more and presses his hands against his shirt, as if smoothing it will make him smaller. I gesture to the corridor. We move in a single file now, with Mara ahead, me in the center, the young man behind. He steps lightly but catches his foot on a fallen power strip cord and kicks it. The strip slides and skitters across tile with a sound that bounces off metal. We stop in place. 2 beats. 3. A scrape answers from the far end of the corridor, slow and steady. We back through the electrical door and pull it closed. I turn the latch so it does not rattle. The room is small and holds its breath with us. I point to the floor. The young man crouches. Mara points to the ceiling where a vent cover hangs on 2 screws. She hisses through her teeth, just a whisper that means idea. I step on the breaker box base, reach up, and lift the vent cover off. Behind it is a low crawl space above the corridor. "Air return," Mara whispers. "It runs to the stage." We boost the young man up first. He squirms and pulls with both elbows until his shoulders clear. Then he reaches back and takes my wrist. I pass up my pack. He drags it in. I follow, pushing with my toes against the panel edge. My elbows scrape dust into little clouds. Mara comes last, with the pipe held between her teeth. She passes it in, then her arms, then folds herself through like a dancer who learned to move without wasted motion. I replace the vent cover and slide it into place so it hangs but will not fall. We crawl in darkness. Dust coats tongue and gums and makes thirst widen out through the head. I keep my jaw shut and breathe through my nose with slow pulls that do not stir grit. The duct turns left, then right. Light leaks through a seam, and I look down through it. Below, 3 infected are in the corridor, moving in broken lines. One brushes the electrical door, loses interest, and drifts on. Another stares at the fallen power strip as if it is an answer to a different question. We continue forward. The duct opens above the stage. Through the grill, the seats sit empty. each in a perfect curve. A folded mascot suit lies across a chair in the front row, the head set carefully on the seat as if respectfully. The grill is held by 4 screws, 2 loose. I ease them out with my knife tip and swing the grill down. It bumps my knuckles, and I catch it. We drop one at a time onto the stage and freeze. No one moves in the seating bowl. The smell of fabric and old popcorn sits in the air. We cross the stage and slip out the back curtain. The sky beyond has a pale edge. Dawn is not far. We move along the rear wall to the train tunnel again. The park sounds different in this hour. Not silent, but held. The infected near the carousel are gone from that spot. They could be anywhere. We do not look for them. We head for the maintenance yard. At the gate, the garden wire is still in place. I unloop it, we squeeze through, and I rehook it. Inside, I slide the roll-up door up and we duck under. The loft accepts us and our small sounds. The young man drinks half the sealed bottle before I stop him with a hand on the base. He whispers a sorry. I nod and give him a mint, then hand him the notebook and a pencil. "Write your first name," I say. He does. Evan. He underlines it by habit. He looks at the page as if he has not seen his own name in a while. "Dawn, then east," I say. "There is a highway 2 miles that way. Up the frontage road, through the underpass, then the overgrown mall. We move fast past the car lots. No one lingers among glass." Mara nods. "I know a path behind the go-kart track that cuts to a service road," she says. "Fewer open angles." She looks at Evan. "You match us. No hero runs. If we stop, you freeze. If we move, you move. If we fall, you help us get up. Not with words, with hands." Evan nods and glances at the pipe. "Yes," he says. His voice is small but steady. We wait for light. The park lifts itself slowly into detail. The Ferris wheel forms spokes against a pale sky. The carousel tarp takes on a dim green, then a dull tan. The wooden coaster shows darker where the wood is soaked from last night's dew. I adjust the straps on my pack and set the padlock key at my throat with the string tucked tight. Mara checks the pipe handle tape and reties her hair ribbon. Evan checks the laces on his sneakers and double knots them. He is too young to be here. Everyone is too young to be here. We roll the door up a foot, then 2, then enough to duck. The rags fall, and I shove them aside with my boot so they do not wrap around our ankles. We slip out and set the door down lightly. The garden wire hums again as wind rubs it. I still it with my fingers until it stops. We move along the fence to the train path and take it back to the tunnel. Halfway through the tunnel, a shape moves ahead and breaks the rectangle of light. We stop as one. The infected in the staff shirt steps into view, then pauses at the sound of our shoes lightly scraping concrete. I motion without words. Left wall, single file, pass on the edge. We press our shoulders to the painted bricks and slide. The staff shirt infected turns his head, then gives up on the thought. He turns the other way and shuffles toward the center of the tunnel. We pass behind his back at arm's length. Evan's breath silently shakes his whole frame. He does not gasp. He matches our pace. We keep moving. Out of the tunnel, we cut behind the photo booth and run the short gap to the mascot statue. We crouch. The plaza lies open between us and the front gates. This is the worst part. The food stand roofs give some cover, but the space is wide. I point to the map in my head. Left of the lemonade stand, right of the pretzel cart, across the kiddie ride track, then the souvenir shop set back under the arch. From there, a broken section of fence drops to the parking lot. We move. The ground is littered with flyers and plastic cups that skid underfoot. We choose steps carefully without turning slow. At the kiddie ride track, a tiny car rests on its side with a smiling face painted on it. Evan stubs it, and it wobbles. He catches it with his palm and sets it down soundlessly. He gives me a quick look that says more than an apology. I nod once. We cross. A figure steps out from behind the souvenir shop. This one is quick, not infected. A man with a baseball bat and a black beanie pulled low. He sees us and stiffens, then lowers the bat a fraction when he spots Mara and Evan and me together. He raises his free hand and shows an open palm. I stop with my own hand raised, blade down, body angled. He looks past me, scanning the plaza for others. He is alone. He smells clean, not of rot. He speaks low. Front fence is clear for now, he says. 2 parked cars outside with open doors. I took the keys. One car still has a little power. Radio hisses, but no station. Mara tips her chin. We are on foot. We do not want the cars. We want the break in the fence by the arch. He nods. I took a bag from the photo booth for the road, he says. You can keep whatever is inside that you need. I am heading west. He points with his chin and steps aside to give us space to pass. He is polite without softness. I respect it. We move by. He keeps his bat low and his shoulders slightly turned to show he does not aim to block us. At the arch, the fence gap gapes where a pickup pushed through months ago and bent the mesh inward. We squeeze into the opening one at a time and step into the parking lot. The asphalt is cracked with shallow grass. Cars sit nose to nose in faded lines. The 2 with open doors hold sunlight in their interiors like caught air. The horizon is soft with morning haze. We cross the lot and pick up the frontage road. The park shrinks behind us. The Ferris wheel refuses to disappear and then finally drops below the tree line. I fight the urge to look back again and again. Looking back only changes foot placement. Forward needs better feet. We keep a pace that is fast enough to burn the edge off nerves and slow enough to hold form if we need to stop. A crow flaps from a light post and scolds us in a rough voice. I keep count of steps until the underpass. At the underpass, we slow and listen. A trickle of water runs down a concrete seam. The air smells of damp and old spray paint. I make a gesture, and we pass through close to the wall with our shoulders turned to reduce our profile. Halfway through, Mara taps my elbow and points to a black smear near the ground at knee height. Blood dried into a fingerprint streak. Old. We keep moving. Beyond the underpass, the road rises past a dealership with glass walls. Cars inside look perfect and clean. A museum of a life that ended mid-sentence. I take us off the road into a strip of grass and then behind a chain of shrubs so our shapes do not mirror in the giant panes. I do not like glass eyes. We skirt the building and come back to the road near a bus stop shelter. Someone has scrawled a list of names on the shelter roof with chalk. The names flake under my touch. I add 3 dots and stop. I am not adding mine. We reach the overgrown mall and cut around the back where delivery trucks once nosed into covered bays. A pack of feral dogs watches us from the edge of the loading dock. Their ears pin and lift, pin and lift. I do not meet their eyes. I keep my hands low and my fingers loose. We pass with no change in their stance. One old dog yawns and shows worn teeth. He stands up, walks 2 steps, and lies down again. A small mercy. We pause in the shade of a loading bay and drink in turns. I put 2 salt packets in the cap, stir them in, and pass the bottle. Evan takes a measured sip and hands it to Mara. She drinks without ceremony. I take the last drink and pocket the empty packets. The habit of saving trash becomes a supply over time. I write another line in the notebook. Left the park at dawn with Mara and Evan. No significant pursuit. Turned off stage loops. Do not return unless water is needed, and the tower still runs. Mara watches the road. You moved right outside. That helped, she says. I would have gone out the Ferris wheel side. Bad line of sight there. I wanted the train tunnel, I say. The wall breaks up our shapes. Evan speaks for the first time in 10 minutes. Thank you for not leaving me in the corridor, he says. He looks at his hands. I froze at the power strip. I will not do that again. You moved when it mattered, I say. That is the test. We set out again. The sun is higher now and flattens shadows. The world looks clean at this hour and lies about its dangers. We do not let that lie make decisions for us. We keep to edges, cross open ground at steady speed, check each doorway, and hold silence unless it serves. We pass a courier hub with a mural of bright boxes and happy drivers. The doors are locked, and the loading bay is chained. A truck idles in memory, not in reality. At a small bridge over a drainage canal, we stop to watch the water. It moves slow and carries a raft of leaves and a plastic bottle that turns end to end. A pair of infected stand knee-deep on the far bank, facing the sun. They do not move when we pass. They look like people thinking about the day. They are not. We slide under the bridge lip and rise on the far side. By late morning, the road splits at a gas station. The sign is dead. A single pump handle dangles and clicks in the breeze. We test the underground tank with a stick and find only fumes. I do not bother with siphons. We cross behind the building and check the trash corral. A raccoon streaks out and under the fence. I lift the lid of a blue barrel and find sealed trucker snacks in a box lined with foil. Someone hid them well. I divide the packets between the three of us. Evan's hands shake when he sees the little cakes. He swallows and puts 2 back. Share later, he says. We eat in the shade of a rack of propane cylinders. I do not light anything. We chew and listen. The amusement park is now a shape in my head more than a real place behind us. It served its purpose. A roof for a night, a map for a morning, a warning about sound. I know the kind of danger that parks hold now. Open sight lines are not safety. Attractions that once made noise still remember how to call to crowds. Backup batteries take a long time to die. Empty does not mean quiet. Quiet does not mean safe. Mara wipes her hands on her jeans and looks at the road east. I know a church with a steel door and an intact bell tower, she says. It is 10 blocks from here. The bell rope is cut. No accidents. The office holds a cabinet with some blankets and a box of candles. We will not ring anything, I say. We will sleep without sound and leave before lunch. Evan nods. His eyes have settled from frantic to focused. He watches where his feet go and keeps his shoulders square. He does not ask for stories about before. He does not give any. This is better than trading old photos in words. We rise and start walking. I do not look back toward the park again. The Ferris wheel is in my mind without the need for eyes. The carousel's tarp still moves in small lifts under morning wind, whether I watch it or not. The stage waits under dust for the next bird to trip the dead wire. The maintenance loft holds the shape of our backs against the wall, and the small sound of mints unwrapped in the dark. The water tower will pour until the line runs dry. Someone else will press the spout and drink. I hope he knows to switch off the stage before night. We cut across a lot where weeds grow up through broken asphalt, and a sign lies face down near the curb. I flip it with my boot. The letters spell out a price for admission and a promise of a family pass. I do not need the numbers. I need the road and the habit of quiet and the small mercy of sugar and salt in water. We have those. We have a pipe with good tape and a key on a string. We have a rule about dawn. We keep walking east and the sound of our steps becomes the only music I want. The church sits slightly back from the road with two oaks framing the door. Mara checks the side yard and finds the extension ladder under a tarp the way she remembered. The steel door has a push bar and a small glass square set high. She knocks once with her knuckles and waits, then looks at me. I raise my shoulder and let it fall. She pushes. The bar clicks. The door opens to a cool hallway that smells faintly of wax and old wood polish. We step inside and close it behind us. We do not touch the sanctuary. We do not test the piano. We cross to the office wing and find the cabinet. Blankets sit folded with a precision that suggests the last person who touched them cared about order. I take one and cut it into 3 strips to wrap our forearms for climbing rough surfaces later. Mara takes a candle and a matchbox and then sets them back in the cabinet. "Not needed," she says. "Not here." We sit on the office floor with our backs to the wall. The clock on the desk is dead, but the hands read 9:12 in a way that feels deliberate. Evan closes his eyes. Mara leans her head back and listens to the quiet, as if it is a radio with a weak station just at the edge of reach. I rest my hand on my pack and feel the shape of the notebook through the fabric. I want to write a line about the park that is not only a caution. I want a line that says it was a place with color once. Bright flags, hot sugar, rides with names that promised something simple. I do not write that line now. No one needs it yet. Instead, I write the facts. Reached church office, restaging, no alarm sources inside, found blankets for wraps, keep east to the river after noon, use back alleys, avoid glass. The facts will be useful when the mind argues with itself later. Facts win arguments without raising voices. We eat 1 cake each and save the rest. I give Evan a mint, and he laughs once, a short, dry sound that feels clean. "I never liked these before," he says. "Now they taste like something from a hospital drawer that somehow still feels safe." He corrects himself. Not safe, familiar. He catches his own word and looks at me as if he broke a rule. I shake my head. "Familiar is fine," I say. "Familiar keeps hands from shaking." We sleep in turns for an hour each. When it is my turn, I do not fully drop. I drift in a shallow loop where the room stays inside the eyelids. I wake easy and stand without a sound. Mara is already up, watchful at the corner window. Evan sleeps with his hands folded on his chest, elbows tight in. His mouth opens and closes around a half-made word. He is not broken, he is tired. By noon, we are moving again. The air outside is warm and carries the faint grit of cut grass from a yard we pass. Someone is still trimming lawns somewhere. Civilization is not a wall that fell in one crash. It is a set of habits in pockets. I prefer the quiet pockets. We cut through a grocery store lot where carts lie on their sides. One cart holds a folded jacket with a ball cap inside it. I do not take it. Someone placed it there for a reason, and the reason deserves respect, even if the owner never returns. We reach the river by early afternoon. The water is low and exposes muddy banks with bird tracks and the print of a bicycle tire. A small bridge with a steel grate crosses the narrowest point. We pass one at a time and keep our feet on the thick bars, not the mesh. The grate resonates under our weight in a way that could carry far. We step down the other side and follow a gravel service road that runs along the water. A breeze moves down the river corridor and pushes a ripple across the surface. The sound is steady, not loud. It covers the small noises we make. We take advantage and speed up for a stretch. Mara points ahead to a cluster of trees near a bend. "There is a boat ramp there," she says. The Park Service used to lock a life ring to a post. Maybe the ring is still there. Rope is rope. We find the post with an empty bracket and a scuffed ring lying in the mud. I pry the rope free with my knife and wipe it on my pant leg. It is damp but strong. I coil it around my shoulder and tie it off. Every length of cord is a promise of a solution later. We leave the ramp and cut back to the road where a line of warehouses sit with open loading doors. We do not enter. Big boxes swallow small groups. By late day, we have put a mile between us and the river bend. The sun angles across rooftops and throws long stripes across the street. We choose a row house with a closed door and intact windows for the evening. We knock once, wait, knock again, then rattle the handle lightly. No response. I wedge the utility knife under the latch plate and lift. The tongue shifts. The door opens with a whisper of weather strip. We step inside and close it behind us. The house smells of dust and old laundry. A pair of shoes sits by the mat. A coat hangs on a hook with a shopping receipt in the pocket. The total reads small, the items ordinary. I set the receipt back where it was. We clear the rooms quickly and gather in the kitchen. The cabinets hold a thin layer of basic supplies. Evan finds a jar of instant coffee. Mara finds a little jar of salt and a plastic tub of oats. I find a saucepan and a box of matches. We boil water and drink it plain and call it good. Before dusk, I climb to the roof by a narrow ladder in the hall closet. The view runs clear to the park's direction. The Ferris wheel is gone behind the line of trees and buildings now. My mind tries to picture it anyway, and fails. It already belongs to a previous set of problems. I run a quick scan of the roofs around us and the alley behind the houses. No movement. No fresh prints on the tar. I tie the life ring rope to a vent stack and leave the end coiled by the hatch in case we need a quick drop to the alley. We set our sleeping places in the front room, where the sight lines are good. No lights, no fire. We eat one more cake each and half a sleeve of crackers between us. I write my last line for the day. Left the park, added 2 to the path, did not ring bells, did not start engines. Tomorrow, cross the rail tracks and angle south to the industrial yard with the orange cranes. Avoid the stadium. Too many rooms, too many eyes. Remember the stage jingle, sound is a net. Do not swim into nets. I put the notebook away and lie on my side with my pack under my head and my hand on the strap. Mara turns once to find a flat place for her shoulder and settles. Evan tucks his feet under the blanket strips and folds his hands together. Outside, a dog barks twice and quits. The river breathes behind the houses. Somewhere, someone opens a window and closes it again. The day keeps moving forward without asking us for permission. Good. That is how it should be. I do not dream about the amusement park. I dream about the water tower spitting brown, then clearing to clean. I dream about the stage breathing on a dead wire. I dream about a pipe handle wrapped in tape and a can rolling against another can without tipping. I wake once, listen, and slide back into the shallow loop where the room stays in my eyelids. Morning will come. Morning always does, even when it does not feel earned. We will take it and go.